That's the number one question I was expecting, and in fact, I think that's going to be the focal issue here, and that is what is missing in the narrative of why he changed his mind, because something happened on the 2nd of December when the election results were read. We all know that it was on TV with the chairman of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Njai, reading the numbers showing that Barrow, the winner, has won the election with over 263,000 votes, while Jammeh had 212,000 votes plus, and Mama candidate, third candidate, had about 102,000 votes.
So you're basically saying, Samson, that the president conceded on the election commission, saying, "Okay, you have lost. Here are the numbers," and then they made a mistake.
He conceded. It was all accepted 3 days after.
Yeah,
he did not come to the TV as such. He shadily, in a sneaky way, called back representatives of the parties at his office and gave them letters saying that there were mistakes in the counting, and instead of the difference, which was 51,000 votes that Barrow had won him with, it had reduced to something like 18,000. Numbers changed from 263,000 for Barrow to about 227,000. And the margin narrowed to about 18,000. Come on. Let me just bring that to everybody else's attention. Okay, so Sharif, the margin of the win narrowed dramatically, and you say what?
Well, I don't think this is an excuse that will especially warrant for a fresh election. I mean, the IEC admitted that there was a problem with collation with the counting, not the voting process, and they rectified that immediately. As soon as they are aware of that, they rectified that. It affected Barrow, it affected Jammeh as well as Mama Kande. So I don't see this noise about, the margins where, the margins have changed and things like that. I think the problem with, Jammeh, and I would say some to you too, is that you guys think that the clock started ticking the day Jammeh lost the election, but this is not the case. We have had problems before in like Jammeh, the screen, the image and the statement of Jammeh that we had in front of us at the beginning, saying that he wanted to make sure that every Gambian had voted. Remember that if we take a quick trip down memory lane, Sam, in 2006, over 300,000 people didn't vote. Voters almost didn't vote. In 2011, over 100,000 people didn't vote. Where was Jammeh? Jammeh won in both elections. Some people like you went out to the street to celebrate, to jubilate. He was a good man. He was voted by his people. Now that he lost the election that he organized, he single-handedly, some international observers not allowed in or they stayed away. You won this election. You are the referee. You are there by yourself, the only party that was represented in all the single polling stations in the country. You lost the election. Now you come here and cry foul to sell that agenda to the people. I think it's so embarrassing and it's ridiculous.
I'm just wondering, Dennis, the surprise, I think, for people who are watching from the outside was that Jammeh lost the election, the fifth one. He won 5 elections in a row. He's been leader for 22 years. How do you lose a 5th election? What happened?
Well, I think Jammeh suffered from the problems that a lot of dictators, especially African dictators, have. One is they believe too much in their popularity. And for once, Jammeh made a mistake, which in my perspective is a very good mistake he made. He tried to organize an election transparently, allowing the results to be tabulated in the local regions.
So you're saying that was a mistake?
Big mistake for him. And
or was it democracy?
Well, it was democracy. For dictators, that's not how they do it. We know that from Cameroon. They actually make sure that the results are counted in a particular location where they can tamper with the votes. But the fact of the matter is the Gambians have spoken. More than 65% of Gambians voted against President Jammeh. The sun has shifted underneath him. He has to go. And I don't see any way out for Jammeh except stepping down. Everything is closing around him. He really has no options but to step down.
Fatou, let me just show everybody a picture of you working with Jammeh. You were his press secretary for not that long, but probably long enough to maybe understand his mindset right now. How do you think he's dealing with this issue of, is he president? Is he not going to be president next year? What do you think he's thinking?
Well, I think this is very, very shocking for Jammeh, because this is a guy who believes that everybody in the Gambia loves him. So until now, he's in denial, especially when he went on television saying, I still have questions about why 300,000 people did not vote. What he missed there is that people like us, we all have our voters card, but he exiled us. So I think if you ask me, I would say right now the man is in denial. And it has always been like this. The Gambian people, since many years ago, started to lose confidence in Jammeh. But like Dennis said, he because of the elections, the way that the elections were held, we all know he's been rigging elections. But when he came out with this counting on the spot, the truth came out.
Let me show you something here. A visit by West African leaders to get Gambia's defeated president to step down did not go quite as planned. Yes, Sam, let me just show this picture here, because it was pretty impressive. The heads of state from many countries across the ECOWAS region. And then let me show you here, PRT says this was a failure in tour de force neighbourhood diplomacy. What's the diplomacy that's going on behind the scenes, Sam?
Apparently, I think the guys are just there for fact-finding. They were there for fact-finding mission. But I want to talk about something a little more related to what we're talking about now. And that is, you in your presentation, in your introduction, you talk about the demonstration that happened in April, right? And the April demonstration came out of efforts being made in 2014 by people in the diaspora here who have been, in the past 2-3 years, aggressively trying to undermine the stability of the country. They bought almost $240,000 worth of weapons and sent mercenaries into the Gambia to attack the country, because they said the elections
we are here. Sam, you cannot hold those funds
can never be free and fair in the country. That was it. They say the Electoral Commission belongs to Jammeh. He owns it.
No, Sam, if I can just come in there.
So they attacked the country. It failed. No. In fact, most of them are now serving in American jails because of
So Samson, because of our limited Samson and Sharif, because of our limited time that we have together, I want to focus on what do we do now, because we're in a crisis right now. So
the crisis evolved. Crisis evolved because after that.
But Samson, I'm not going to walk through every moment since April. I'm going to bring us up to date right now. Fatou, what do you want to add? Sam, let me come. I understand that, Fatou, but we only have so much time.
What happened in April? Everybody was saying that, in fact,
So what's going to happen now? All right, Fatou, come into the conversation. Sam, hold tight for a moment. Sam, hold tight for a moment. I hear you. Fatou, go ahead.
I think he's mixing a whole lot of things that are definitely not related. And like I said, let's talk about now. What happened is Gambians cannot wait for this dictator to go, because we have suffered enough. And what happened right here is when he considered defeat, people started coming out in the streets and everyone was happy. Can you imagine people that I could not talk to for 3 years because they were avoiding to talk to people like us in the diaspora because they could get arrested? So these people, we spent hours and hours with them on the phone. Jammeh got mad with the freedom that the Gambian people have started to get, and he decided to come in thinking that he still has that control, which he didn't realize that there is no way that he can return Gambians to dictatorship.
You have radio show that has been going on for the past years where you talk to Gambians every day. I listen to it. And you have been inciting violence in that country.
Sharif, hold tight for a moment.
Your brother-in-law, who is now serving jail in America here, played a part in trying to attack the Gambia.
So let me just say for everybody who's watching, who's trying to keep up with this conversation, Fatou does have an opposition radio show. Sam, hold on for a moment, just so I can explain to everybody. Fatou, you do have an opposition radio show, which is what Sam is referring to. Denise, what did you want to add?
Well, so you were asking a question about where does Gambia go from here and what happens. And, you saw the ECOWAS leaders in Gambia to talk some sense into President Jammeh. The bottom line is Jammeh has no way out. I think the reason why he's...
I think you are making a great mistake in making that statement.
I understand.
Jammeh has a way out.
I know he has a way out. The way out may not...
the way out?
The way out may not be in Gambia.
I don't know where you're coming from with your negative statements. Because
it's because of attitude like yours.
If you want
because of attitude like yours,
so Sharif and Fatu, hold tight for a moment. I know you've all got comments to make. Just hold tight for a moment. I can hear you all, because I know everything you're saying is critical. No way out. Why?
No way out. Why? Because the mistake that he made, which is a very good mistake he made, was actually accepting the results. When you accept the result, you actually give the Gambians a voice, and the Gambians have found a voice. There is no way he's going to can that voice. The Gambians will not accept. If you look at it, the civil society in Gambia has stood up. A lot of folks, people in the universities, are standing up against Jammeh. What the ECOWAS leaders are doing are actually just trying to be very friendly to him, because at the end of the day, the sun has shifted under Jammeh. Jammeh has no role. I think the opposition with Barrow, people like Jammeh understand one thing. They understand power. They understand strength. I was very, very pleased when Barrow made a statement today, offered an olive branch to the president, saying, you know what, I will not prosecute President Jammeh. President Jammeh can stay in the country if he chooses to. The former president lives in the country. I will not prosecute him. But at the same time, I would come January 18, if he does not step down in power, I would be president. And that, Femi, is what is going to make a difference. And I think, to go one step further, President-elect Barrow and his team need to actually show Jammeh that they are serious for business. And that means they have to do a couple of things, in my opinion. They have to start nominating their cabinet. They have to do things like actually start nominating folks who are going to be representing them abroad. So
they need to get on with their transition. Let me just go back to Sam. Because Fatu, hold tight for a moment, because I want to keep ping-ponging back to Sam, because Sam is the voice of President Jammeh right now. Sam, why do you think that this is a condescending point of view? Why do you think that Jammeh has options? What are the options?
Because, you see, all these so-called reporters running around trying to be experts over this issue do not talk about the fact that Jammeh readily accepts the results day one. And he talked to the whole world and even talk about going to the farm.
So, Sam, tell us about the options. Tell us about the options. What options does he have?
The electoral reform came back and said,
yes,
the numbers have
we've talked about that. Sam, take us forward. What are the options?
What are the options of apparently...
What are his options?
His options are, he doesn't accept the results because the results look illegitimate, and because,
so what?
The original statement, the original numbers changed so badly that
you're repeating yourself. What take us forward, Sam? You're repeating yourself. What happens next?
And some very terrible anomalies were found, which are going to be presented to the courts.
Where does Jammeh go from here?
He's not going to accept
Can I come in?
All right, so gentlemen, hold tight for a moment, because we have Sam's like, the president's not going to accept. Sharif is, so what now? Fatu, what do you want to add?
Okay, in the first place, when he said the so-called reporters, the reporters are the one President Jammeh had.
I'm sorry about that. I'm talking about the so-called expert Dennis coming from nowhere and doesn't know what's happening in the Gambia.
Yeah, you have to.
All right,
Sam, this is the problem.
Sam and Sharif, just give me a moment. Just give me a pause for a moment, just so I can hear you.
Dennis doesn't know what the heck is going on in the Gambia.
So what I was trying to say is I served as President Jammeh's press secretary on 2 occasions, and what happened at the end, I was sent to prison for 25 days and I had to leave my kids behind. I was not even allowed to say goodbye to my kids or good night to my kids. And what Sam is talking about, inciting violence, the Fatu network is very, very credible network that works with international organizations. We had many meetings with experts here in the United States. Sam is the one who incites violence, because if you could remember when the protest happened in April, Sam said if he was there and he was in charge, he was going to shoot peaceful protesters. We have never advocated for that.
I'm going to get us all to take a pause for a moment. And Sam and Batu, just give me a moment because I want to bring in some other voices here, as if we need some more voices.